We'll now discuss how to synchronize your camera to this studio flash unit. One way is by sync cord. To connect your camera to the studio flash, make sure that your camera body has a PC sync terminal like this. And you need to purchase a sync cord. This sync cord is what they used in the early days of photography. You attach this plug right here in the flash terminal, and this part on the PC sync terminal of a professional DSLR. It attaches like this, and that's how it looks like. Unfortunately, these wires available at 20 feet can sometimes be cumbersome, and some people might trip over these wires. If you don't like sync cords to synchronize your studio flash, you can do it wirelessly using infrared. With some cameras models, you can use the pop-up flash to trigger flash units that have an optical slave device. For this bowling light, this little bulb over here is actually the optical eye or the electronic eye. If this electronic eye picks up any flash bursting from your pop-up flash, the flash here will synchronize. But first, you must set your pop-up flash to manual mode power ratio. I use 1/8 or 1/16 of a power, just strong enough for the studio flash eye to see that flash, so that this one will synchronize and flash with my pop-up flash. Sometimes using your pop-up flash to trigger the studio flash isn't so reliable sometimes, especially if the line of sight between the light signal here and the electronic eye cannot see each other. So the most foolproof way to trigger the camera with the flash is to use radio frequency triggers. And here we have the Flash Wave 3 transmitter and receiver. As you can see, this attaches to the studio flash unit, and this goes on top of your hot shoe. And we attach this trigger using the accessory that came with it. It has a plug that goes right in the sync cord. We're on the same channel right here, and we attach the transmitter on the hot shoe, and we're ready to go. For studio photography settings, set your shutter speeds to 1/25 of a second. And for your ISO, since you have a lot of lights, you can set your ISO not to a sensitive ISO 800, but you can use the base ISO. For my camera, it's the ISO 200 because it has the widest dynamic range, and it's a tad bit higher in resolution. And once you've set up your settings for flash photography, you must have a means to measure the light, because flash photography does not have an internal light meter inside your DSLR. You can rely though on your DSLR's LCD to gauge exposure, but it's not very accurate. It takes experience to really judge flash exposure, flash photography using the LCD. What you can use is a more accurate instrument for recording the right exposure for flash, and that is with a light meter. Set your flash meter with the appropriate shutter speed, which is 1/50th of a second, and set the proper ISO, which we set in our camera, which is ISO 200, and press the test button, and the light meter is ready to receive flash from your flash and give you the appropriate f-stop number. So how do you use the light meter? Well, if I were the model and you're the photographer there, make sure the light meter is along the plane of the face and the dome facing the lens. That's how the light meter is designed for. The beauty about studio flash units is that it comes with a lot of accessories that help change the quality of light. They're called light modifiers. Here you have the Octobox. It's a large light source, and the larger the light source, the softer the shadow edge. This is another light modifier. It's called the barn door. As you can see, it has flaps where you can block off light from hitting the background or from flaring back into the lens. And these barn doors can also have filters that you can attach right here. Other light modifiers, the reflector, can give you a smaller light source and harder shadow. You can also add to this reflector a spot grid. This honeycomb spot grid helps concentrate the light into a narrower beam. These are just some tips from Camera Geek TV. So for those aspiring fashion photographers, please remember them and you're on your way to fashion photography shooting in the studio. I'm Joe Galian. See you next episode.
Welcome to another segment of Camera Geek TV's Geek Shunan. Ito si Bon, sports photographer. Pumitik ng 10 FPS. Gamit niya Pro plus JPEG Ultra Fine. Habang nagre-record pa ang high-end sports DSLR ni Bon, nais niyang tignan ang iba pang Pulitzer Prize sports shots niya. Maya-maya, bigla itong nag-card error. Ang tawag ito ay STD o Seriously Terminated Data. Para maiwasan ang ganitong pangyayari, ito ang mga dapat niyong gawin. Una, bumili ng branded memory card. Pangalawa, i-format muna ang SD card bago ito gamitin. Pangatlo, iwasan ang pagbubura ng pictures gamit ang delete function ng camera. At huli, huwag galawin ang camera habang ito ay nagre-record. So ayan, sa susunod na makurap ang memory card ninyo, kayo ay na-STD. Tandaan nyo lang ang mga pointers namin para kayo ay hindi ma-STD.